I sit on the edge of my new bed, my fingers tracing the soft ridges of the quilt Ellen picked out for me. It's a deep blue, like the sky just before night settles in, and it's supposed to make this room feel like mine. 3 weeks have passed since we moved into this house, a sprawling, quiet place on the edge of a sleepy suburban street. And yet the air still hums with something I can't name, change maybe, or unease. The walls are bare. The floor creaks under my boots, and outside the late summer breeze rattles the windowpane. It's beautiful, sure, but it's not home. Not yet. My name's Grace, and I've spent most of my 28 years in cramped apartments, just me and my mom, Ellen. She's always been the dreamer, the one who sees silver linings where I see storms. Her latest dream, a new marriage, a new life. And with it came Mason, her new husband's son, my stepbrother. He's 30, I think, though we've barely spoken enough for me to be sure. Right now he's downstairs, probably messing with something in the garage like he always does. I can hear the faint clink of tools, a steady rhythm that's become part of this place. He's here, under the same roof, and I don't know what to make of him. I shift on the bed, the springs groaning under me, and stare at the half-unpacked boxes in the corner. Moving's always a hassle. New routines, new neighbors. But this feels different, bigger. Ellen's voice floats up from the kitchen, bright and insistent. "Grace, come help with dinner?" I freeze, my hand still on the quilt. Part of me wants to stay here, locked away in this unfamiliar room, but I know she's trying. She's always trying. With a sigh, I push myself up, the floor cold against my socks, and head downstairs. The kitchen's alive when I get there. Ellen's at the stove, stirring a pot of chili, the spicy scent curling through the air. Mason's by the counter, sleeves rolled up past his elbows, chopping onions with a focus that's almost too calm. His dark hair falls into his eyes, and he brushes it back with the back of his hand. He looks up as I step in, nodding once. "Hey, Grace," he says, his voice low, steady. I mumble, "Hey," back, my eyes darting to the floor. There's something about him, quiet, solid, that throws me off. I don't know if it's his height or the way he moves like he belongs here more than I do. Ellen turns, her apron dusted with flour, and beams at me. "Mason suggested tacos tonight. Isn't that sweet?" She's got that hopeful look, the one that says, "Please, Grace, give this a chance." I force a smile, my lips tight. "Yeah, sounds good." My hands fidget with the edge of my sweater as I grab a stack of plates from the cabinet. I set the table, keeping my distance, but I can feel him there, just a few feet away. It's not that he's rude, he's polite even, or that he's done anything wrong. It's just, he's here, in my life, in this house, and I don't know where I fit anymore. We sit down to eat, the clatter of forks against plates filling the quiet. Ellen keeps the conversation going, something about the old couple next door and their yappy dog, but I'm barely listening. Mason's across from me, eating slowly, his eyes flicking up every now and then. I look away fast, my pulse ticking up for no good reason. "You settling in okay?" he asks, out of nowhere, and I blink, caught off guard. Yeah," I say, poking at my taco. "It's fine." He nods, like that's enough, and goes back to his food. Ellen jumps in. "Mason's been fixing up the garage. You should see it, Grace." He shrugs. "It's nothing big." And I mutter, "Cool," hating how stiff I sound. Dinner drags on, and I feel like an outsider in my own skin. Ellen's happy. Her laughter fills the room, and I know that's what matters. But Mason? He's a puzzle I can't solve. Too calm, too steady, like he's waiting for something I don't understand. As I clear my plate, I catch him watching me again, just for a split second, before he turns to stack the dishes. My stomach twists, a flicker of heat I don't want to name, and I head upstairs fast, the stairs creaking under my weight. This house, this life, it's all new, and I'm not sure I'm ready for what's coming. Dinner's in full swing, the kitchen warm with the hum of Ellen's chatter and the clink of plates. I sit across from Mason, my fork hovering over a half-eaten taco, trying to focus on the food instead of the way the light catches the edge of his jaw. Ellen's going on about the new neighborhood, something about a book club she might join, but her words blur into the background. I steal a glance at him. He's leaning back in his chair, one hand resting on the table, the other holding a glass of water. He looks relaxed, too relaxed, and it makes me shift in my seat. He reaches across to pass me the salsa, his fingers brushing mine for half a heartbeat. I jerk my hand back, the jar wobbling between us, and he quirks a small smirk, barely there. "You okay?" he asks, his voice low enough that Ellen doesn't catch it over her story about Mrs. Henderson's roses. My cheeks heat up, and I nod too fast. "Yeah, fine," I say, grabbing the salsa and spooning some onto my plate like it's the most important thing in the world. He doesn't push, just watches me for a second before taking a bite of his own food. Ellen's voice cuts through again, bright and eager. "Mason's been fixing up the garage. You should see it, Grace." She's looking at me like I'm supposed to jump up and cheer. Mason shrugs, his shoulders loose. "It's nothing big," he says, his tone casual, like he doesn't care if I'm impressed or not. I mutter, "Cool," and it comes out flat, awkward. I hate how my voice sounds, small, unsure, like I'm a kid trying to fit in at a new school. Ellen doesn't notice, just keeps talking, but I feel Mason's eyes on me again, quick and quiet, before he looks away. Dinner wraps up, and I volunteer to clear the table, needing something to do with my hands. Ellen heads upstairs, humming to herself, leaving me alone with the dishes and him. I expect him to disappear, but he doesn't. He grabs a towel, starts drying what I've washed, standing close enough that I can smell the faint cedar of his soap. We don't talk, and I'm braced for it to feel weird. But it doesn't. The silence settles over us like a blanket, soft and unexpected. I rinse a plate, hand it over, and he takes it without a word, his movements steady. Later, I'm in the living room, sprawled on Ellen's overstuffed couch, flipping through some old car magazine I found on the coffee table. The house is quiet now, the kind of quiet that makes you hear your own breathing. Footsteps creak on the hardwood, and Mason walks in, pausing in the doorway. He's got a bottle of beer in his hand, and for a second, I think he'll keep going. But he doesn't. He drops into the armchair across from me, legs stretched out, and takes a sip. I keep my eyes on the page, pretending to read about vintage Mustangs, but I can feel him there, filling the room without even trying. The silence stretches, but it's not heavy. It's almost nice, like we don't need to fill it with noise. I flip a page, the paper rustling, and he shifts in his seat, the leather creaking under him. "Long day?" he says finally, his voice cutting through the stillness. I glance up, surprised. "Yeah, kinda," I say, closing the magazine. He nods, like he gets it, and takes another sip. That's it. No big speech, no prying, just enough to make me wonder what's behind those hazel eyes. Ellen breezes in then, her hair tied back, a mug of tea in her hands. She plops down next to me, the couch dipping under her weight. "You two are getting along, huh?" she says, grinning like she's won some prize. I look at Mason and he's looking back, his expression unreadable but soft around the edges. "Something like that," he says, and there's a flicker in his gaze, quick as a match strike, before he leans back again. My heart thuds loud in my chest and I turn away, staring at the wall like it's got answers. I don't know what this is. Him, me, us. But it's starting to feel like something. and I'm not sure I'm ready to find out what. The air's thick tonight, heavy with the hum of crickets and the sticky warmth of late summer. I'm in the kitchen, the light above the sink buzzing faintly as I rummage through the fridge for something cold. Ellen's working late, her shift at the diner stretching into the night, and the house feels too big without her chatter to fill it. I've got the door open, the cool air brushing my face, when footsteps shuffle behind me. I turn, and there's Mason leaning in the doorway, 2 glasses of iced tea sweating in his hands. "Figured you'd need this," he says, stepping forward and holding one out to me. "It's hot tonight." His voice is quiet, steady, like always, and I blink, caught off guard by the gesture. "Thanks," I say, taking the glass. My fingers graze his, just for a second, and I pull back fast, the cold biting into my palm. I sip it, the sweetness cutting through the heat, and he stands there, not moving, just watching me with that look I can't figure out. It's not pushy, not even curious, more like he's waiting for something. "Why are you being nice?" I blurt out before I can stop myself, the words tumbling free. He leans against the counter, one hip cocked, and tilts his head. "Why wouldn't I be?" he says, light, like it's no big deal. But his eyes stay on mine, lingering a beat too long, and I feel the air shift, a ripple I can't name. I take another sip, stalling, the ice clinking against the glass. "Just didn't expect it," I mumble. And he nods like that's enough. He sets his glass down, the sound sharp against the quiet. "I was thinking about a walk later," he says, his voice still low. "Easy. If you want to join me." I freeze, my mind spinning. Part of me wants to say no, to keep the space between us neat and safe. But there's something in the way he asks, simple, real, that tugs at me. "Sure," I hear myself say, trying to sound casual as I swirl the tea in my glass. I could use some fresh air. We head out not long after, the screen door creaking behind us as we step into the night. The street's quiet, porch lights flickering like fireflies, and we walk side by side, our shadows stretching long on the pavement. Neither of us says much at first, just the soft crunch of gravel under our shoes and the distant bark of a dog. I brace myself for it to feel strange, but it doesn't. The silence wraps around us, comfortable, like an old jacket you didn't know you'd missed. "You like it here?" he asks after a while, breaking the quiet. I glance at him, his hands shoved in his pockets, his profile sharp against the streetlights. "I mean, it's different," I say, shrugging. "Still getting used to it. I'm not sure if I belong yet." He nods, slow, like he's turning my words over in his head. "Yeah, I get that," he says. "It's been hard for me too. Didn't expect things to change so fast." He pauses, then adds, "But you know, sometimes change is good." I study him, the way his jaw tightens just a little, the sincerity in his voice. There's no judgment there, just a quiet understanding that catches me off guard. He's not just some guy Ellen dragged into my life. He's got his own weight to carry, his own corners to figure out. "You're right," I say softly, the words slipping out before I can overthink them. "Maybe it'll be okay eventually." We keep walking, the night settling into a rhythm between us. It's strange, this ease, like we've known each other longer than a handful of weeks. With every step, the knot in my chest loosens, just a little, and I wonder if it's the house or him that's been making me feel so off. Back home, I catch his shadow on the stairs as he heads up, broad shoulders disappearing into the dark. He doesn't say goodnight, doesn't need to, but I feel it anyway. A pull, a thread starting to stitch itself into place. Something's shifting, and I'm not sure I want to stop it, even if I don't know where it's going. The sun's dipping low, painting the porch in shades of orange and gold as I sit with Ellen, the warm boards creaking under us. It's been a week since that walk with Mason, and the air is still thick with summer, the kind that sticks to your skin. Inside, I hear him moving around, probably grabbing a drink or tinkering with something, his footsteps a quiet pulse in the house. Ellen's got a glass of lemonade in her hand, condensation dripping onto her fingers, and she's talking about the garden she wants to start. I nod along, but my mind's elsewhere, drifting to the sound of him. She nudges me with her elbow, her eyes soft. "You're quieter lately. Everything okay?" Her voice pulls me back, and I blink, caught off guard. "Yeah, it's fine," I say, too quick, my fingers tightening around the armrest. I glance toward the screen door just as Mason steps out, a beer in his hand, his shirt clinging to his shoulders from the day's heat. He pauses, meets my eyes, and holds out another bottle. "Thirsty?" he says, simple as that. I take it, our fingers brushing again, and the cold glass feels sharp against the warmth in my chest. "Thanks," I mutter, popping the cap off. He sits a few feet away, legs stretched out, the chair groaning under his weight. Ellen smiles, oblivious, and keeps talking about marigolds, but I'm watching him from the corner of my eye. He takes a slow sip, his throat working, and I look away fast, my pulse ticking up. "Rough day?" he asks, his voice cutting through Ellen's chatter, low and steady. I nod, grateful for the distraction. "Yeah, work's been a lot," I say, rolling the bottle between my palms. "Been there," he replies, and we clink our bottles together, the sound sharp in the fading light. Ellen excuses herself to check on something inside, leaving us alone on the porch. The quiet settles in, thick and heavy, but it's not uncomfortable. I lean back, the beer cool against my lips, and he shifts, his elbow resting on the armrest. "You're good at that," he says suddenly, nodding toward the yard. Listening to her, she likes it. I laugh, a little surprised. "She's easy to listen to," I say, and he smirks, dry and quick. "Not always. It's the kind of jab that makes me grin, and I don't fight it this time." We sit there, the cricket starting up, and I catch myself noticing things, the way his fingers curl around the bottle, the faint scar on his knuckles, the steady rise and fall of his chest. It's small stuff, stupid stuff, but it's piling up, and I don't know what to do with it. I take another sip, the bitterness grounding me, and wonder if I'm imagining this pull, this heat that flickers when he's close. It's not right, not normal, not with him being who he is, but it's there, quiet and insistent, like a whisper I can't shake. He finishes his beer, the empty bottle clinking as he sets it down. "You ever get tired of it?" he asks, his voice softer now, almost thoughtful. "What?" I say, turning to him. "The newness. All this?" He gestures vaguely at the house, the street. I shrug, my shoulders tight. "Sometimes. You?" He nods, slow. "Yeah. But it's not so bad now." His eyes catch mine just for a second, and there's something in them, warm, unguarded, that makes my breath hitch. Ellen's footsteps clatter back out before I can answer, and the moment snaps shut. Mason stands, stretching, his shirt riding up just enough to show a sliver of skin above his jeans. "Night, Grace," he says, his voice lingering like smoke in the air, and heads inside. I stay there, the beer sweating in my hand, staring at the spot where he was. The night closes in, the stars pricking through the dark, and I feel it building, this thing between us, undefined and unsteady. It's not just about getting along anymore. It's something else, something I'm not sure I can ignore. And as the screen door swings shut behind him, I know I'm in deeper than I meant to be. I slam the front door behind me, the sound echoing through the empty house as I kick off my shoes. It's been a brutal day. Work was a mess of deadlines and sharp words from a coworker who doesn't know when to quit. My head's pounding, and all I want is a quiet corner to disappear into. I shuffle into the kitchen, the tiles cool under my socks, and reach for the fridge handle, craving something cold to dull the edge. I don't hear him at first, not over the hum of my own thoughts, but then Mason's voice cuts through, low and steady. "You look beat. Sit." I turn, and he's there by the stove, stirring a pot, the smell of garlic and tomatoes curling into the air. His sleeves are rolled up, his hair a little messy, and he's got that calm look that makes me feel unsteady. I hesitate, then drop into a chair at the table, too tired to argue. He doesn't say anything else, just grabs a plate and slides it in front of me. Pasta. Simple, steaming, with a dusting of Parmesan. "Eat," he says, and goes back to the stove like it's nothing. I pick up the fork, the warmth seeping into my hands, and take a bite. It's good, better than I expected, and for a minute, I just focus on that. "Bad day?" he asks, leaning against the counter, his arms crossed. I nod, swallowing. "The worst," I say, my voice rough around the edges. He doesn't push, just watches me with those hazel eyes, steady and quiet. "I'm here if you need me," he says, soft, like it's a fact, not a question. It hits me harder than it should, those words, and I look down at my plate, my throat tight. I don't know why it feels so big, him being there, him seeing me like this, but it does. Later, we end up on the couch, the TV flickering with some old western neither of us is really watching. I'm curled into one end, my legs tucked under me, and he's on the other, closer than usual, his arms stretched along the backrest. The space between us feels smaller tonight, the air thick with something unspoken. He shifts, his knee brushing mine, and I don't pull away. Neither does he. "You're tougher than you think," he says out of nowhere, his voice low, cutting through the sound of gunfire on the screen. I glance at him, surprised. "What makes you say that?" I ask, half a challenge. He shrugs, his eyes on me now, dark and steady. "Just a feeling. You handle stuff, more than you let on." His hands resting near mine on the cushion, not touching, but close enough that I can feel the heat of it. My pulse kicks up, a steady thrum in my chest, and I don't move. I want to close that gap, to see what happens, but I don't. Not yet. The room's quiet except for the TV, the light casting shadows across his face, and I wonder if he feels it too, this pull that's been building, slow and sure. I take a breath, steadying myself, and lean back, breaking the moment. "Thanks," I say, my voice barely above a whisper. "For the food. For this." He nods, a small tilt of his head, and turns back to the screen, but his hand stays where it is, inches from mine. We sit like that, the tension humming between us, soft and electric, and I let it settle over me. It's not just about the day anymore, or the pasta, or the way he's here when I need him. It's him, Mason, slipping past the walls I've kept up, steady and quiet, until I can't pretend I don't see it. The movie drones on, but I'm not watching. I'm thinking about his voice, the way it lingers, the way he looks at me like he knows more than he says. My guard's slipping, and I'm not sure I want to pull it back up. He doesn't push, doesn't ask for more, just stays. And that's enough to scare me, because this thing I can't name, it's real now, and I don't know what happens next. All I know is I believe him when he says I'm tough, and that's more than I expected to feel tonight.